Hey, this is Bryan Barletta, and this is Sounds Profitable for Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, The Measurement Excuse. This week, I address the myth that podcasting has unique measurement problems and how the industry as a whole can move forward to address it. But first, on our deep dives, Podscribe Director of Acquisition and Performance Marketing, Amelia Coomber, breaks down Podscribe's attribution and reporting methodology. With a real-time dashboard, Podscribe allows advertisers to check campaigns easily from one centralized location. Tune in now on soundsprofitable.com or click the link in the description. On the last day of Podcast Movement, Tom, Manuela, and I hopped a plane to Austin to get ready for our first quarterly event not associated with a major podcast event. We chose South by Southwest because we knew one major audience would be there that our entire industry wants to get more time in front of: buyers. I'm incredibly happy to report that over a third of the attendees came from the buy side, many of them net new or lightly spending in podcasting today, and we were able to educate them on the values of advertising in podcasting through our latest research, The Medium Moves the Message, a comparative assessment of advertising from broadcast to podcast, which you can watch live tomorrow, Wednesday, March 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern in the link in the description. We learned quite a bit from listening to these buyers speak in an environment friendly to them. There is a substantial difference between the conversation that happens when a seller pitches a buyer and when multiple buyers feel that they can speak freely and answer questions from multiple sellers openly, and not in response to a specific pitch. A narrative emerged from this conversation that has been bubbling since I started in this industry, and one that I have dealt with nearly every day of my entire ad tech career: podcasting's measurement problem. Because the truth is, we're not listening to what the buyers are saying. Forest for the trees. Ever since the IAB Australia's audio summit earlier this month, the following slide from Natalie Stanbury's presentation has been haunting my dreams. In the slide, you can see that broadcast radio, streaming music, and podcast all list, quote, lack of measurement and tracking / standardized metrics, end quote, as the top answer when asked, quote, what are the 3 biggest issues stopping audio advertising, end quote. Streaming radio lost their number one spot to, quote, lack of evidence of effectiveness, end quote, which to me is a symptom of measurement. This perceived measurement problem certainly isn't unique to podcasting. It really is all of audio. Podcasting has focused too much on defending and explaining tracking and measurement when our industry has built truly amazing technology to do more with what little we have. It's easy to point at broadcast radio, broadcast television, direct mail, and out-of-home, digital or otherwise, as industries that are less effective with tracking and measurement than podcasting, and yet still attract more advertising dollars. But that's low-hanging fruit, so let's aim higher. Creators baking ads into their content on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok are all unable to apply an impression tracker to their campaigns. What they can do is place a link in the description, just like we can do in podcasting, to drive their audience to a conversion. And judging by the estimate that social media influencer channel of advertising generated over $16 billion last year, or more than 8 times that of podcasting, it's not the technology holding us back, it's the lack of rigidity in our standards. Standardization solves for reach. We often hear that podcasting is fragmented and that buying directly from hundreds of shows per campaign is not feasible, but that hasn't swayed buyers away from buying directly with hundreds of creators on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. The key difference there is not that they get more data than podcasting, they don't, or that they can use their third-party solutions of choice, they can't. It's that every creator they buy from on those platforms and or from the platform directly all results in the same exact standardized measurement. Exposure to more people on the buy side has made clear to me that when they speak about fragmentation, they mean it at our core. The download, our primary metric, is simply built on too loose of a specification. We see this with publishers migrating from one hosting platform to another who notice a discrepancy in their numbers, or when comparing prefix and ad delivery measurement against a hosting platform's analytics, and most importantly, when a buyer is trying to aggregate all the numbers needed not only to start a campaign, but to measure and chart the success of one. To be clear, it's not that the download is a bad metric at all. It's just one envisioned almost 10 years ago for a much smaller industry than what we're looking at today. The answer is not to continue to lament that podcasting is not a streaming technology, but instead to more specifically determine what a download is and to make that measurement unquestionable across all of podcasting. There should be no better way to count a download, simply the strongest way we can unify around. It should be incredibly boring and painfully accurate when an entity in podcasting represents their numbers. If the download was immutable and everyone processed the raw requests in the same way, we would create an environment that would allow for prefix and ad delivery third-party measurement to be in lockstep with the hosting provider's numbers. Third-party measurement leads to third-party billing, making it table stakes for all ad buyers to insist on tools that enable them to verify their results. Something not available in YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, but very common for them in other digital channels. Each company can then add on what makes them truly unique right after all our numbers are perfectly aligned, which is the consistency that buyers are primarily asking for when they bring up podcasting's measurement issues. And we truly do have that opportunity today as the IAB pursues a 3.0 update to the podcast guidelines that can absolutely have the teeth in it that we need today in podcasting to guarantee our future. Wrapping it up. As I reflect on all these points, I realize that my main reason for being such a fan of programmatic advertising is structure. All of it is already established and it works across numerous industries. It absolutely won't work for all aspects of podcasting. And today, programmatic partners are incredibly lenient with podcast suppliers on how everything is measured. But there is a time and a place when that leniency ends, and whatever numbers are reconciled in their platform are all that the buyers pay for, and thus become all that matters. The panel at our South by Southwest event echoed that spending cuts and pauses have been advertising wide, not unique to podcasting. They echoed a return to manageable tried and true solutions, such as their preferred channels and even attribution methodology like last click, which even Google moved away from as their default in 2021. With headcount and budgets lowered, comfort is the number one thing that matters to these buyers, but comfort and confidence can be easily confused. To the buyers, it's not that podcasting doesn't offer measurement or attribution. It's that our standards are not consistent and our methodologies don't match their default solutions. We're a $2 billion industry with momentum so impressive that we continue to draw eyes away from the rocket ship that is connected TV, while being a fraction of their size. If we wish to continue that momentum and close the gap on size, now, during this slowdown, is the time to rally around what we do have and make it better. No one company can win this. The best they can do is splinter off their own walled garden, and that doesn't move the needle for podcasting. I'd like to thank Glenn and Adam from Adopter, Stephen Smith from Podfluential, IAB Australia's Director of Research, Natalie Stanbury, AJ Feliciano of The Roost, Matt Chapo of the IAB for their contributions and conversation that led to the creation of this article. Thanks again for listening to my article, The Measurement Excuse. This episode was built by Gavin Gaddis using Spooler and hosted on ART19.